Just to remind everyone, we did pop it in the email. You probably read it. We are recording, and we will make it available on our website for those who weren't able to attend today as well for a period of time. If you have any questions about it, just let us know. And on that, I say we kick off because we've got an hour, and we want to make sure we get as many questions answered as possible. If we don't get any questions answered, we've got a solution to that at the end, but we'll. Rebecca, do you want to do a little bit of intro to the prize and then?
Sure. So I'm just gonna go through a little bit again, and I'm gonna say, please mute yourself. I'm looking at you, Brian Hamilton. You are not muted, and amongst other people. And I'm also going to say, please, can you make sure that you have changed your name to your actual name, because we're going to be calling on you. And iPad 4, I want to know who's asking me questions. I don't think the iPad can ask me. So it just makes it much, much easier. So as we go through, if you want to ask a question, please would you raise a hand? So that means that you click on reactions and just click raise hand. And then Alice will call on you in the order that you raise your hands. And we'll get through as many as we can in an hour. Alice is also going to pop her email in the chat later on. We've got a pressing question that absolutely must be answered and hasn't already been answered. Please email Alice, but please do listen carefully, because we've been really overwhelmed by the response to this commission. And today I received 15 emails with the same question that was answered in the email that I sent. So please don't do that, because we're a small company and it takes so much of our capacity, and we want to use that capacity to really support this commission as much as possible. So now that I've been really schoolmarmish and stern, hello, I'm Rebecca. I'm the Artistic Director of Arch 468. And this is Sophia Stefanou, who is the exec producer, and Alice Rush, who is one of our producers. So this commission, it's called the Hope Prize, came out of a desire on my part to not feel quite so grim all the time about the world and about the theatre ecology. I think in the theatre we have a bit of a habit of thinking that drama is conflict and conflict is about bad. I'm really sick of stories about women being raped and murdered, because women do all sorts of other things besides being raped and murdered. We run companies and, change the world, as an example. So that's what it's about. The commission is looking for a vision of hope for the future. It has to be a realistic hope. It has to be something that feels like we can genuinely convince our audiences is possible. What we want from this commission is to encourage people to walk towards a better future rather than running in fear from something bad. And I think so much of our cultural dialogue is around the running in fear stuff. So I think I've talked enough, and I'm going to let Alice start calling on the first questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Well, I just had a message from Martin Edwards, who wasn't sure how to raise his hand. So maybe Martin's the best one to go to first of all. Martin, if you want to unmute yourself. I may have to do it for you. So just a moment. Oh, no, you're unmuted.
Hiya. Is this expected to be like an annual prize, or is it a one-off? Or
we hope it'll be an annual prize, but I don't think that the theme will be the same every year.
Okay, and these are full-length plays, aren't they? Presumably.
Yeah, so it's a commission for a first rehearsal draft of a full-length play. You're not required to submit a full-length play. You submit a pitch and some information about yourself and an outline, just to give us an idea of what your writing is like. And then you have a year from the point at which we agree the commission to deliver the full play.
One more question. You've said what you do want from a play and what you don't want. Beyond what you've said, what you don't want, is there anything else which you're really not looking for?
I'm definitely not looking for anything that is clumsily political.
Okay.
I don't want a play that shouts at people. I want a play that inspires people.
Great, thank you.
Amazing, thank you, Martin. All right, we'll come to Rose next. I'm going to ask. Oh, you've unmuted. Wonderful.
Yeah. Hi there. Thank you. I'm on a boat, so it's not super light. I wanted to ask if you were open to having music as a base in the play.
Yeah, absolutely. We're producing a West End musical right now, or a musical that's on its way to the West End. So yes, we like music. Go nuts.
Amazing. And as a quite a strong part of it, that would be cool.
Yeah, entirely.
Amazing.
It's probably better to say that it's for a new work commission, but so it can be a play, it can be a musical, it could be something in between, it could be an operetta. What's important is that it starts with a document that's on paper, and this isn't a commission for a new devised show, for example.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Fab, thank you, Rose. Chris Hendry, can we come to you next, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Is any of the £10,000 intended to cover production costs? And if not, which will be wonderful, if not, how are you going to handle the production side of things? You know, the casting, salaries and so forth. How's that going to be managed?
So this call out is for a £10,000 writer's commission. We will commission that play. We will require an option on it for, I've forgotten what we've agreed, but for several years. We will fundraise and produce that play in an appropriate context. We pay well over ITC and equity minimums as company standard. So that's how it will work. It's a full-scale professional production.
Yeah. Can I just follow that? The production side of things. So you'll appoint or whatever the director or direct it from within. You'll ask people and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So we are commissioning a writer. So then we, as part of that commission, we will have the right to do with the play kind of what we want. We're decent people and we don't want to trample on someone else's artistic voice. But you know, we will have, we're in charge of producing it. We will have the final say on how we market it and who the creative team is. The intention is that I will direct it, so that's why we're, you know, I direct most of the company shows, so that's why we're commissioning it.
And will you continue to engage with the writer during that later phase?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I would expect that after this commission that delivers a rehearsal draft, we would very much welcome the writer they'll be required to be into an R&D workshop, and then we will very much welcome them into the production rehearsal process afterwards.
Great.
Okay, fab. So I'm going to come to Morag Davis next, who was just in the chat but said she couldn't find the raise hand function. So Morag, would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. So you said that you wanted it to be something that is hopeful but probable, something that's achievable. Does that mean that if the story is outside of our kind of realistic realm that we dwell in, that's probably not something that you'd be looking to commission? Like if it was, say, something kind of set in space or in a hypothetical world, but still, you know, showing the possibilities of women, and the things that they achieve are very real, but the scenario in which they find themselves in is maybe not.
Sure. No, I love magic. I love weird shit. If you look at the stuff that we've been producing, there is a really heavy non-naturalistic bent. Kitchen sink drama is not the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. So I would absolutely encourage you to look at more than naturalism. Set it in space. I just want to believe that when we say that it has to be something that can really stick and inspire the audience in a real way, I would want the resonance of that non-naturalistic setting to feel really pertinent. So if this play is about hope for sentient tomatoes in the future, I might look oddly on it. But if it's about how human beings function and interact with each other in the world, then go nuts.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Going to come to Kiran next, who is another person who messaged me in the chat saying they couldn't find the hand up function. So Kiran, would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Hi, sorry. So I was just wondering that if the play that you're putting forward was previously a short play, like a 10-15 minute play, or a short film, like a 5-10 minute film, is that allowed or not? I just want to clarification on that.
I mean, send it to us.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I want this to be a new thing that the world hasn't seen before.
Mhm.
But send me your thing, and if it's good enough, I won't care about that.
Cool. Thanks.
To also make sure that you have the rights and stuff to it. Like you obviously, if it's your short and it's not, if it's been done before, just to make sure that you can.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and it would be something that would be adapted into a longer thing, so it's not like it would have been seen before, if that makes sense. But thank you.
Okay, Caroline Summerfield, do you mind if we come to you next, please?
Right, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent, right, okay. I've really got two questions, one of which you've partially already answered about your producing process. But I wanted to understand a little bit more about the types of audiences that you see yourselves as a theatre company producing for. Because I looked at your brief, and I can see you don't want fairy tales, etc. But are you looking at an adult audience, so 18 plus, or are you looking at family plays that might actually appeal to a family type show with music? I wanted to understand. I have looked at your work, but I would really want to understand your focus, because I assume this is going to be produced in London.
Well, we're a touring company, so we're based in London.
Yeah.
But we would, I don't know where it will go on. We're talking with some touring partners, some touring companies to be our co-producers. We're also talking with venue-based MPOs. So where it happens, it depends what we pick. It depends what the winner is. The idea is that we choose the audience that suits the play. However, the vast majority, all of our work in the last decade has been for audiences primarily 16 plus.
Okay. And just the other question which I had for you really is your casting. I mean, presumably your multicultural casting. Are you interested at all in plays that incorporate foreign languages, although largely written in English? I just wondered to what extent you're open to having actors who might have another language as their first language or second language.
I mean, sure, it depends on if that's what the play requires. That would absolutely make sense. I would struggle to find co-producing partners for a play that is substantially in a language that isn't English.
Okay, and can I just quickly throw in one further question? Must it actually be set now? I know one of the other attendees have raised the issue of setting it in the future, but can you have something that's partially set in the past, or are you looking for something that's now?
No, it can be set anywhere. Like that brief is a really carefully written brief, and the stuff that isn't in it, it's because I don't care.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, that whenever.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. Okay, I'm going to come to Olga Braga next. Olga, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thank you. So I also just have, two quick ones. Number one, someone mentioned something about a short film script. Sorry if I misunderstood. So my understanding, you're after a theater script, or are you keeping it quite open to avant-garde type of, I don't know, short film submissions? Or sorry if I confused. I thought it was purely theater play submission.
I was asking if they could adapt a short film they'd already written.
Okay, sorry. English is my second language, so I misunderstood. Okay, and just a quick one. Usually, I think many playwrights were always told to write for a small cast. It's better you're more likely to have something produced if it's a small cast. And I was just wondering, from your perspective, are you looking to limit it to like 4 actors? Is it something that you're keen on, just the smaller cast, or yeah?
So the same economic constraints that apply to the entire industry apply to us. That's true. If you want 5 people, we will take that budget from somewhere else in the production budget. So you can have 5 people in an empty room, or you can have 4 people or 3 people, and we can build you a space station. I mean, I'm being a little bit flip, but we're a small company, we're project funded, we have a decent turnover, we have a really strong fundraising and producing track record. We have to be able to deliver what you want us to, and so whether we can deliver it will be a consideration in what we choose.
And are you keen for it to be about British people set in Britain, or is it open? Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Olga. Okay, next is Tallulah Bond. Tallulah, if you'd like to unmute.
Hello. Yep, that's me. Can you hear me all right? All good?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yep. Okay. No, really quick question. I was just wondering if you're looking for a single writer, or kind of is it open to collabs, or at least 2 writers involved, or is it more obviously splitting the fee between us? But just wondering if that was a thing, or it's more of a singular writer.
Totally happy. Co-writers, welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
Fab. Thank you. Okay, so next I've got Will Drew. Will, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hey, Will.
Hello. Hi. Hello, Bex. So I was really, very interested in what you were just saying about the being driven by conflict,
Mhm.
I'm imagining that if you're looking at hope, that you will end up with a lot of plays that are in some way exploring a kind of utopia. And because that kind of opens itself up to that, and then within those sort of utopias, you maybe get, I would imagine that you would get new conflicts to emerge. The idea of something, of presenting a world without conflict, or not driven, piece of drama not driven by conflict in some way, was surprising to me, because it suggested a kind of quite a radical.
Yeah,
sort
you're
of-
much more radical than me, Will. I think I was just being a little bit. I was just oversimplifying what I think is a bit of an issue in terms of how we think about drama and stories that are worth telling. So there can be conflict in this play. What I want to leave with, what I want this to be, is a thing that the audience leave inspired to do something positive, or think active and positive, rather than frightened.
Despair. Yeah.
It's about creating, it's about activating the audience to be hopeful and walk towards something, rather than becoming passive. I think quite a lot of our drama is about showing people how bad it is, and then expecting them to know what the fuck to do about that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what a hopeful play looks like, and that's why I'm trying to commission one.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Fab. Thank you, Will. Okay, coming next to Jane Hay.
Hi. Yeah, my name's Jane, and I think Olga may have asked this, but I didn't quite get the answer about whether it's okay to have a play set in, for instance, the United States, in a kind of a rural area that might not present the kind of problems that people in London might think that they're facing.
So I'm going to say this clearly, because I think lots of questions might be around it. It is entirely free. Topic, location, setting, time period, and subject. That is for you to choose. You can be from anywhere in the world. You can, this can be about it. I wouldn't want anyone to limit themselves by what they think an audience in the UK cares about. We contain multitude. I want brilliant plays that feel hopeful, and I will select the right play that I can sell to the audiences that I can reach.
Okay, thank you.
Fab. Thank you, Jane. Okay, coming next to Gayatri.
Yeah, hiya. Thank you. My question is sort of when talking about the sort of creative team and the directing of the play, if we have, say, like a queer and sort of cast oriented director, or like producer in mind, what is the scope, to add these people to the team if we think it's important that's the team that produces this?
This is a commission for a piece that will be directed by me and produced by Arch 468.
Okay.
You're welcome to Google me and find out whether I'm appropriately queer for you. But I would say submit your play, and if it's brilliant, you can interview me and choose whether you want to take the commission or not.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gayatri. So coming to Laurie Slade next.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, does it have to be, as it were, something that's starting from scratch now, or can it be something that is already, from the writer's point of view, in development, so that there's a certain amount of the script already exists?
It's for a new play. It can't have been developed or produced by somebody else. I don't mind if you've already written chunks of it. What's important is that you go through a development process with us to get it to the point where it's a thing that we can take to an audience confidently. So if you've written it and you've gone through 32 drafts and you are absolutely not taking any conversation or dramaturgical notes, it's probably not the right thing. If you've kind of sketched it out and thought about it and started mucking around with characters and dialogue, go nuts. That's fine.
Fab. Okay, so coming to Bex next. You've had your hand raised, Bex, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hiya.
Hello.
Just wanted to ask, are you going to have a long list or a short list?
Yes. There will be at least one long list. There will be at least one short list. We will probably make one long list public and one short list public. There will be many, many other lists. We're anticipating well over 1,000 submissions, so it'll be quite a protracted kind of sifting process.
What does protracted mean? Sorry, are you
A lot of drawn out.
Oh, okay, so just long.
Our lives, Bex.
Fair. Cool. All right, cheers. Thanks, Bex. I mean, Rebecca. Bex.
That's right. I'm also Bex.
Amazing. Thank you, Bex. So Althea Brown next. Althea, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi. I have a bit of a cheeky question, actually. And I want to ask, what is something that has recently inspired hope from you? Like, or something you've seen that's recently inspired hope from? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was up in the Highlands of Scotland recently, and there was a tree. I came upon a tree and I took a picture of it, and it has this weird blue lichen growing on it, and I sent it to my sister, who is a professional gardener, and said, "What is this weird stuff?" And she said, "That is lichen that only grows in pure air." And it didn't it was pure air in the UK. And I was like, oh, hope. There's a
Thank you.
no problem.
Amazing. Okay, coming to Vera Ion next. Vera?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I was wondering in terms of what we send, if it's a brand new idea, which is actually developed from your call and your trigger, and if it involves quite a bit of research in the development, we might not really have like the whole story, just bits of it. So my question is, would a concept and a direction for research and a start of a story do, or are you rather focused on like having a solid, I don't know, story with characters and stuff? And
I want to fall in love with an idea.
Okay.
I want you to have interesting and intelligent questions about the world you want to create. We've asked for the first 10 pages of a rough draft.
Yeah.
I've asked for that because when I'm writing, because I also write, I can bash out 10 rubbish pages in a day.
Yeah.
It's about bash it out, give me the spirit of it, and then we can talk. I want to be inspired by the idea and by your writing.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Vera. Okay, coming to Paula Brett next. Paula?
Hello. Hi. I'm a lyricist, and I'm excited to hear that you enjoy musicals. Could getting a composer on board be part of the R&D process?
It would have to be.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure whether you'd want both, because I just lyricize. I don't write the dots, but it's
Yeah.
all right to just submit as a.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there are, just thinking about how I work with composers, if you have a composer that you're like, yes, this is the person, they are my, submit that, because this offer does not include our company composer, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if you know who that person is, or you'd like to suggest someone, include that, and ideally a link to something that we can listen to that's theirs. But if really what you're coming from is, this is my concept, this is what I want to happen, I will work with bloody anybody that can help me make it brilliant.
That's great. Thank you, Rebecca.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. Okay, next up is Sarah Kentish. If you'd like to unmute yourself, Sarah.
Yeah. Hiya. So you were talking about your audience and what you guys, that your company's audience and like the reach that you have already. If you get something and would you be willing to, like, are you looking for something to fit your audience that you know you can reach to, or is if something kind of, to really like, if it doesn't, do you know what I mean? Sorry,
We're not asking you to write for the audiences you think we reach.
Okay, cool.
I'm asking you to write for our taste.
Yeah.
Like, I want to like it. We will find the partner that helps us reach the right audience.
Yeah. And then just another thing, because you're a touring company, and it says in the it talks about like mid to the venues, it needs to be suitable for the venues that you visit. Can I find those venues just on
being suitable for the venues? It's about the scale. So
right.
for a mid-scale commission, which means that it's reaching. Sophia, what's the official definition of mid-scale, please?
Oh gosh, you've really put me on the spot. But I think it's like, it could be four actors or more. It usually has sets, is the only way I can really describe mid-scale. Whereas, if you have a small scale show, it could be back of the van, black box, not very much. Where mid is usually on for like at least a week and a half, and it usually has set, and it's a sort of a bigger scale. And I think it's 4 actors or more. I think
it's usually 4 actors or more. It's usually reaching houses with like in excess of kind of 500 people.
Okay.
It isn't a play that can only work in a small space. That doesn't mean that a 1-actor play is the wrong, or a 2-actor play is the wrong thing. That would be great for our budget writing. But those 2 actors have to be able to fill a bigger space.
Okay.
Can I just ask one more question off that? What about if a play might be more suitable to a venue that's not necessarily a like conventional theatre venue? Would that also be a
submit it? But we're a touring company, and site specific or site responsive work is much harder and much more expensive to tour, because you need to find multiple sites that fit your site responsive criteria. So
what about like music venues? Or that?
Yeah, I mean that could work. Although again, it's a thing that, look, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say we don't know how to do that yet. We'd have to figure it out.
Yeah.
When we're reading your submission, we'll go, can we figure this out?
Yeah.
Good enough. And if it excites us enough, we are the queens of figuring stuff out. But we're really excited about it.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, next up is Sam Toller. Sam, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thank you very much. So I was just wondering, in terms of like audience interaction, is that something you have qualms about or are prepared to do if it fits in within the theme of kind of instilling hope and getting an audience to engage with the themes of the play?
Yeah, if it feels right for the story you're telling and it feels inspiring,
cool.
That's fine. That isn't a thing that I'm not scared of audience participation, even if the audience is.
Wicked. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you. Okay, so Chris Hendry.
All right, okay. Sorry to ask another question. You don't mention anything about length. An evening's entertainment, presumably. How long is an evening in the theatre?
How good the play is, doesn't it? If your bum hurting is more important to you than listening to the end of the story, the play is too long.
If what is? Sorry, if
your bum hurting in the
horror. Oh, yeah.
Then I like a tight 90 minutes. Sophia's like, yes, please, 90 minutes. I like a tight 90 minutes. I have never come across the 3-hour play that inspired me.
Yeah. What about on the short side, on the minimum sort of? I mean, under an hour is too short.
I think under an hour is probably too short for the scale that we want to produce this on, and the ticket prices that come with that. Yes.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you.
Fab. Okay, going to come to Patrick Bale next. Patrick, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi, hello. So just a quick question, really. So with the seed commission and that 12-month window, for example, can you just give me a quick breakdown of like the timescales? So say, for instance, you select your candidate and then I don't know, July. Does that 12 months start from July?
The 12 months starts from the day we sign the contract with the playwright. So that's probably a couple of weeks of emailing back and forth after the 1st of July,
Sure. Yeah. So, and presumably it's going to be a lengthy sifting process. So we probably won't hear back for another couple of months to see,
Yeah. I would. It's going to be the summer at least.
Yeah, 100%.
Anticipating. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Brilliant.
Fab. Thank you, Patrick. I had John Knowles' hand up, but now his hand has gone down. I just wanted to double check, John, if you did want to ask a question or not.
Well, they kind of got answered, really. It was about music, and because I particularly work with musicians, and I want to know, could I bring in or suggest a particular musician to bring in? And that's worked well for me in the past. So I think the answer was yes. I can suggest somebody, but you might say no, which is also fine. And my other question was about mid-scale touring venues. If you could name any in particular, because I've been to a few, and it just might help get me a picture of the sort of venues you normally go to.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So I would imagine like places like, really put me in the spot. I'm going to get my tour venues up for that one. John, I might actually answer this one in a second. So I can actually get those venues up.
Can't hear you, Sophie. You could just, if you want, that could be an email later on, the sort of venues you go to, but that's fine.
Because essentially the way that we tour, generally in the way that we produce, is that we get co-producing partners and then do kind of multi-center runs, and then sometimes we just book tours, and it depends on the show, and we go to the venues we go to vary wildly because it's dependent on the show. It's not like we have a circuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Cool. All right. Amazing. Olga, we'll come back to you if you've got a second question you wanted to ask.
Yes, please. Thank you. So I was just wondering, obviously we have to submit a CV. Are you looking for a writer with a particular type of experience? For example, oh no, this person has too many plays produced, or oh no, this person has too few plays produced. Because, sometimes you find people are looking for quote unquote emerging, whatever that means. I'm not sure. So I was just wondering if you're looking for a particular type of person as well.
No. And actually, it's an interesting thing because I'd encourage very emerging writers to include a CV that talks about all the other stuff they do as well. I want to know that this person has an interesting level of experience of the world. I want to know that their writing is good. I want to know that I want to spend a year and a bit with them in my life. The whole point of this is that it's for people at any stage of their professional development. I just care about something that really inspires us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Olga. Okay, Beth Noonan Roberts, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hello. Sorry if you can hear my family running around in the background. I just wanted to ask, with the 10 pages, I know you said like they could be quite rough, like just kind of scoping out your idea. Obviously want them to make a bit of sense, but does it matter that if they're just like random bits?
Like funding award?
Oh,
yeah, go
Sorry.
on.
If does it matter if the 10 pages are like random bits and pieces of like ideas you have for it, like bits of text, or would you want them to be quite like linear in story, like when you're reading
the first 10 pages?
The first 10 pages. Okay, cool.
And what I'm looking for in that, so like what I'm looking for is a sense that the audience watching it are going to be interested in that first 10 minutes.
Cool.
That you can write dialogue and that you can write visually and that you can write a world and a character that I'm going to care about.
Sorry. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. Cool. I'll come to Pippa next. Pippa Gladhill.
Hi, yeah. So if the timescale is starting development work with you, like say from, I don't know, mid this year, have you built into your thinking around it in the event that things become more problematic because of the pandemic, then, you know, there are ways of kind of working and connecting like now, or will you put it on hold, or have you built into your planning the different permutations, or is it just like we're going to see what happens and then figure it out as we go along? Because, you know, being in a room with loads of people may not be the best thing for us all to be doing, or it may be fine. We don't know. I just wondered where your thinking was around that on a very practical safety level.
Yeah, of course. There's a reason that this commission is for a play that can manifest in both the live and digital realm. So this is a play, we are looking for something that can exist in a room other than one filled with many, many people. I would be open to that being, I would be very open to that being something that's quite formally inventive in terms of how people encounter the play or the story. We have factored in the planning at this point because we're going to be working with the writer for a year. Even the most conservative estimates tell us that by 18 months from now there should be a sufficient level of herd immunity and enough people have been vaccinated that we can realistically expect to be reopening in ordinary normal ways. However, we want to produce this for a digital realm as well as a live realm, so that's an important thing to think about.
So I'm sorry if I've got a supplementary question to that. So when we're pitching our idea, should we be like sort of like outlining, you know, like as an in-person, real audience, but also as an inventive way of doing it online? Should we be like putting a parallel, including a parallel proposals within our ideas, or is it matter of like, here's the idea, and then you would figure out as part of the producing and directing process if it has to be online? Or
sure. So the commission is for a thing that does both. So we would expect.
Okay.
We would expect you to have thought about that. You might not have all the answers because there are all sorts of things that there are new technologies that people don't know about. But what we want you to have done is imagined a way it might be possible, and then you can make it our problem to make it possible.
Great, thank you.
Fab, thank you, Pippa. Okay, so just jumping back to Caroline. Caroline, you got your hand up if you'd like to ask a question.
I have a feeling that the last questioner actually raised the very question that I was thinking of, the fact of incorporating and addressing digital transmission of the play rather than just seeing it as a performance in person on stage. But I just wondered to what extent you're able to finance this or look at venues that have properly operating back screens so you can incorporate technology, make it as part of the play. Is this something that you're very open to? Because there are cost implications of incorporating technology.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we're a professionally producing theatre company. We also produce film, audio, streamable stuff, events, festivals, and nonsense. We will produce this in the way that it has to be produced at an industry appropriate budget, usually paying, as we always do, well above industry minimums.
Thank you.
Fab, thank you, Caroline. Okay, coming to Tom Wilson next. Tom, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thanks, Alice. I'm sorry for being late, by the way, guys. I was on the phone. Rebecca, I just wanted to ask two quick questions. One was, what do you feel about improvisation around a script? You know, in the manner of Shane Meadows and Mike Lee's process, developing a storyline and a narrative from there.
Well, in an R&D, I'm totally down with that. At the point at which we're going into production, I want a degree of surety. I'm a little bit traditional in that way. That said, I've absolutely developed plays in that way in the past. So it sort of depends on what the story is and who the actors are, because I'd imagine that in a situation like that, you'd be thinking about quite specific cast because you're giving your cast authorship. At that point, we'd have to think about the ethical considerations and how we licensed that piece if everyone in the room has a degree of authorship over it and what that means for the commission. That doesn't mean you shouldn't submit it.
Okay, that brings me to my second question, Rebecca. Would you be looking for name actors, or would you be happy to use people who've not done much acting before in terms of the authenticity that, again, Shane Meadows and Mike Lee has produced with new actors and new talent?
I mean, right. So I want to say that we're happy to work with the right people for the job, but we are a small company. We have finite resources, and I want, as a director, I want to work with people that I know and will be reliable in terms of their technique and what they deliver. So the absolute honest answer is that I would prefer to work with trained professionals.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Alice. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tom. Okay, Althea next. Coming back to you. Did you have another question? If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I had another question. I just wanted to ask, at any stage or at any point, is the writer allowed to implement any kind of vision or direction? Say, perhaps maybe not, you wouldn't be able to direct the play, but would you be able to have input in how the digital film could be directed? Is that something that we're able to do, or something we would have kind of creative influence over?
We would expect you to be involved in the development of it, and we would expect you to be, I mean, I wouldn't really think of it as a film. It's about the piece manifesting in a digital realm. Like it might be a game, it might be there are lots of different ways that could happen. So we would absolutely expect your input because it's your authorship. However, the final say will rest with the producer, and that will be part of the license agreement.
Thank you.
No worries. I'm just going to, Alice, I can see that Jessica is raising her physical hand. Are you raising your physical hand, Jessica Bailey? Yes. Just so that you know, she's raising a physical hand.
Amazing, thank you. Well, Jessica, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sorry, I was being annoyingly analog there. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I guess you shouldn't really ask questions you know the answer to, but I'm just wondering about adaptation, and not, when I say adaptation, I don't mean lifting something from it, but using source material from some other either story or folk tale or something like that, that kind of realm of thing. Is that something you're interested in, perhaps?
Yeah, make it. Yes, this is interesting. I don't think this is an adaptation of a best-selling novel. I think it might be your creative. It might be that you ate lots of interesting art, and what comes out references that art somehow. Right?
Right.
I
like that.
All art is a product of the other art we've consumed. So that is cool.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, Letitia, next. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi there. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to ask how comfortable you are, Rebecca, and your company is with things that are more heavily dance-based. I know that you said, obviously, it's going to be something that is in text, but may kind of weigh heavily on dance and movement.
Mm-hmm. We are not afraid of a physical narrative. I don't know what your idea is, so I don't know quite what the answer is. I think this is for a narrative story that starting point is a piece of something written on a piece of paper. You can notate dance like that. I can't understand it. I need to be able to understand what it is you're submitting at the point at which you submit it. I'm used to working with choreographers and movement directors to have a physical visual strand to narrative.
Right. Okay.
That's, but this isn't a commission for a new ballet.
No. I was just thinking more along the lines of For Colored Girls, which is a choreo poem. So it has a narrative, but there is a lot of movement incorporated in the text.
And yes, cool. That is fine. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, fab. So I'm going to come to Emilia next. Emilia, you just messaged me. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Hi, thank you. Just touching on one of your points from before, Rebecca, when you said you wanted to work with actors, obviously professionally trained actors. If it's a co-written piece and the writers themselves are actors, would that be a possibility for them to be in their own piece?
I would hate that. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. They'd have to audition for the job, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be good enough. Like I have performed in my own work, and sometimes other people would be better.
Yeah, totally. Great, thank you.
That's all right.
So I don't have anyone left with their hand up. Sophia, is there anything from the chat?
Somebody's just come in now. Rebecca, so Laura said, I'm really sorry to ask you to repeat yourself, Rebecca, but I came in late just in time to hear you say, so that's what we don't want. Could I be a pain in the bum and ask you to say it again? Is that, Laura, reference to, in terms of casting, like actors who are writers who want to be in their own work? I'm not too sure at what point you've come in, so.
Right, I'm so sorry for being late. I had a child emergency. No excuses, I know. I wondered if you'd summed up very succinctly the things that you definitely didn't want, and I've missed it.
I think I said something about I don't want aggressively political things that shout at the audience.
Great, okay.
That inspire people to walk towards something positive, not run away from something negative.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Rebecca, I've just had a really quick one in the chat. I may have missed Rebecca saying this, but when do you anticipate announcing the winner?
Yeah, we don't know. The honest answer is we're aiming to get through these submissions as quick as possible. The fact that more than 300 people signed up for this Zoom is slightly terrifying. We're expecting in excess of 1,000 submissions. We want to give all of those the time that they deserve. I would not expect it before the summer.
Amazing. Okay, but Sheila, would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Hi, my name is Buchilo. I mean, just to say, this is daunting. This is really like, you know, and I just want to say, Rebecca, that it feels like it's like in its inception, it's a co-creation space, because obviously, you know, you have the brief and you have something that you want, and all of the different processes that will be, you know, that will ensue. I'm like a unknown writer, so I'm below emerging. But I was interested in asking the question on with the idea of hope. Would you be interested in like a piece that has a context that's quite maybe hard hitting, quite pertinent, and seemingly specific stories to other places like maybe Africa or Asia or wherever, but in its richness is kind of pointing to what we're living through in the, you know, in the UK at the moment?
Sure. So a thing I said earlier, but I think you might have missed it, is that this play can be set anywhere. The people that are in it can be from anywhere. You can be, as a playwright, from anywhere. You don't have to be British. It doesn't have to be set in Britain. It does have to be primarily in English.
Of course.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be set, as we decided at the very beginning, it doesn't have to be set on this planet. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. No, that's cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Amazing. Thank you. We'll come back to Rose then. Rose, did you have another question? If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi there. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I've just my cat just had kittens today, so that's happening.
On your video and show us.
I know, but I'm on a boat, so it's quite dark. But I'll send you some pictures.
Yeah, I love that. That'd make me happy.
Great. I was gonna ask you about, so would you be open to the idea of because it's all about hope and bringing hope into the world and to audiences, there being in the kind of, I know of course you're going to produce it and put it on, and I guess in terms of the writing of it, would and how that links up, would you be open to interesting ways that hope could be incited through the production?
Yeah.
So like, for example, you know, like kind of, I guess bringing in like community resilient elements and you know, like various through props or that kind of thing.
I mean, I don't think I quite understand about how hope comes through the props. I'm glad you do, and I want you to teach me.
Okay.
Yeah, look, we are open to any weird ass form you can imagine. What that form is and how we can work within it will shape our decision, because we have to be able to deliver it, and we're very pragmatic. So we might have the most wonderful piece in the world, but we can't deliver it. I mean, we'd probably send it to our friends that can at that point. So I would say, write your truth, write your thing, let it be absolutely everything you want it to be, and make it our problem to make it happen.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No worries.
So yeah, there's no one left with their hand up in the chat. Sophia, I'm just going to come back to you. Is there anything in the chat that I've missed?
Yeah, someone has asked if the CV we use as a part of the judging criteria, does it matter about experience, or is it purely to get a sense of who we are and what we have been up to, or what we have done? What is your script? What if your script is good but your CV is not filled with lots of experience?
Okay, so the purpose of the CV is to get an understanding of who you are and where you come from. That is part of the judging criteria. It is not part of the judging criteria how experienced you are as a playwright. It is part of the judging criteria whether you're a person who has appeared to live an interesting life, who has committed themselves to doing interesting and excellent things, who is committed to making art or telling stories, that can manifest in a million different ways. When I got my first job running a theatre, I'd spent the preceding decade working in an investment bank and hating everybody there. So do not think that if that is your experience, or if your experience is outside of this world, that precludes you from applying. We're not, if Simon Stevens wants to apply, I'll happily take his call. But also I would very, very happily give this to someone as a first time playwright.
And just on that as well, does this include who you choose as your references?
Yeah, your references. I want someone who knows your work and knows what you're passionate about, and I want to be able to phone someone and then go, oh my God, this is why you have to give it to them. This is why they're brilliant. I do not care if it's Lynn Gardner. She's very nice, but it doesn't matter to me if it's a famous person.
Amazing.
End it there, unless you have any more, Alice.
No, I don't have anything. Maybe 2 minutes left, throw out to the room. Any one person just want to quickly jump in?
No.
I'm going to take that as a no then.
In that hour. Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys.
Sophia, I don't know if you wanted to run through any quick submission deadlines, just real sort of basic info before we head out.
Oh my God, everyone's saying thank you, and literally the chat. So the deadline is Monday, the 29th of March at 5 p.m. Please submit in time. We will not be able to consider any after 5 p.m. If you have a question that hasn't been answered, or if you didn't want to ask it in this, that's fine. I think Alice has popped her email. It's alice@arch468.com. Please email Alice and she will fire it over to us and we will get back to you ASAP. And yeah, best of luck writing it. We can't wait to read all of your wonderful submissions, and thank you for coming this evening. I hope it was useful, and this will be available on our Arch website as well from tomorrow. If you want to go back and listen to any of the other questions or answers again, it will be available until the deadline.